What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go.
Cleveland got a haul. I think way too much for a non-quarterback. So Cleveland gets 3 of the top 36 picks now. If you add all the picks they got in from the Jags next year, they're just doing that to get a quarterback next year. So next year, of the top 36 picks, Cleveland has 3 of them. They got a haul, and then they go down to number 5 and, getting a starting defensive tackle. I'll get to that in a second. But the GM for the Jags, who I was told actually worked from home in St. Louis a lot, even when he was a Rams employee, as a young kid. So this is the adult table being a GM. I don't like the swing. Travis Hunter's a great player, but unless he's a Pro Bowler on both sides of the ball, it feels like way too much to give up. And I think Cleveland was clearly doing it to get ammo for next year's quarterback draft.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the easiest trade that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski will ever make. They might have just got contract extensions from Haslam sitting behind them in the draft room. I'm with you. How can you make this trade, Colin, when you don't know your team? Part of anyone, whether you're taking over a football team, taking over a business, you got to let it settle and see what you have. Well, there's obviously no way. They haven't even been on the field in shorts and T-shirts. They don't know if their quarterback's any good. They don't know how talented their unit is. I get the ownership there is, flush with money and aggressive and everything, but I think being this aggressive for Liam Cohen and Gladstone, the young 34-year-old GM, when they have never worked with the players on their team. It's one thing if you had been around for a couple years and you have a pretty good feel, like, we're a player or two away. Well, let's swing for the fences. That's insane, Colin, to throw away your next year's first-round pick. And I get it. He had a front-row seat there for Les and Sean trading all those first-round picks over the years. They were typically a player or two away, though, with the Rams. So I thought it was, for a non-quarterback, I mean, we've seen the 49ers made one for Trey Lance. I think it's one of the craziest draft day trades I can remember for a non-quarterback.
I'm trying to think of the last time I got 3 texts from NFL employees and all went mistake by the Jags. Like, all landed on the same spot. And this is a very young GM. And again, Travis Hunter is going to be a really sensational talent. There's no question. But there's also going to be some growing pains on the fact that he's not going to be in meetings for one side of the ball on a regular basis. So, and I mean, listen, this really isn't as much about the Jags as it is Cleveland. They're trying to get out from this tonnage of Deshaun Watson's contract, and the way to do it is get a star quarterback. I mean, that's how the Broncos got out from the tonnage of Russell Wilson. They got Bo Nix, who will be free for 4 years. So, I didn't like it at all. I just think, we could always take shots at Cleveland, but I've always been a Stefanski fan, and I have people that really like Andrew Berry. I think this is a really easy deal to make. And then, by the way, you slide down to 5. Now, a lot of people think Mason Graham is more in the 8 to 12 range as a draft pick because his ceiling's low. And I think in most years, that would be fair. One of the people that loved what Cleveland didn't love Mason Graham as a number 5 pick. He said he's closer to 10 than he is to 5. But again, he's going to start, in that division. It's a northern division. It's a rugged division. Did you like what Cleveland did at 5 with Graham after making a pretty shrewd move to get all those picks?
Yeah, to me, the note that I wrote down, I mean, Travis Hunter for Cleveland doesn't do that much, right? I mean, they're several players away, and their quarterback situation is a disaster. When you think Mason Graham and you watch the way Michigan's played the last couple of years, obviously in that area too, ideal for the AFC North. Like that'd be my thing. Like, that guy is just made to play in cold weather against Pittsburgh, against Baltimore, teams that want to play physical, slow down the game. So listen, this is draft. I mean, McMillan went 8, Kelvin Banks went 9. I mean, this wasn't exactly Tony Baselli, and Myles Garrett coming off the board here right in this range. So I have no problem with going Mason Graham. To me, they could have taken me and you, Colin. The moment they made that trade, Cleveland won the draft. They get next year's. To me, the likelihood of Jacksonville, first-time head coach, young coaching staff. I mean, they could easily be a 5-6 win team. We do not know if their quarterback is good, and he has struggled to stay healthy. And I get
Yeah.
Liam Cohen had a big year with Baker Mayfield, but he didn't resurrect. Baker Mayfield was good the previous year too. That's how Dave Canales got a job. So it's not like he just made Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's now had 2 good years in a row. So
Yeah.
I think the Cleveland again could have taken anybody the moment they got the future one and the second. Think how often we see good players get drafted in the 30s. Happens every year, regardless how good the draft is, because the same type player is there in the mid 30s. It can be impact starters that you get for like $1.5 million a year.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what, to your point, is Cleveland gets Jacksonville's first round pick next year. What's crazy about that is that could be a top 6 pick.
Easy.
I mean, that is nuts.
We've seen it happen a couple years in a row where the Lions benefited the one year when they had the Stafford trade and the Rams had that awful year and McVay like thought about quitting football to go work at Amazon. They got a top what they got the 6th pick that they turned into Laporta and Gibbs. We saw it the year when Denver was awful and Seattle got a really high pick and took Witherspoon. We have seen these future ones on it's usually a player trade, Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, whatever. But sometimes on a draft day trade, remember Chicago traded from 20 to 11 with the Giants, and then they were terrible the next year, and the Giants got multiple picks in the top 10. Now, you still got to make the right pick with that
Sure.
selection, but the amount of flexibility, if you let's assume Cleveland isn't going to be that good. I mean, their quarterback situation
They
is a
won't.
disaster. If I tell you next year they have pick 5 and 9. Like you got a
Yeah,
lot to work with.
that's why they made the move.
The NBA 82 game grind is done. And now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for the high stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw dropping plays. Can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in games all the way through the finals. Now, the time to back your favorite players and teams as they chase glory. All season long, DraftKings has been your go-to spot for NBA player props, and that doesn't stop now. Want to make your playoff experience even more intense? Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will Curry drop 30? Will LeBron drop 40 or more? It's your call. Ready to place your first bet? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, lock in your bets, and let's make the playoff run unforgettable. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet 5 to get 200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for new customers to get 200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
DraftKings had Ashton Jeanty plus 650 to get drafted number 6 and plus 475 to get drafted by the Raiders. This was a real obvious one to me, and I had mentioned this multiple times. Geno Smith with a run game, throwing on play action, is actually a pretty good quarterback. He's very Sam Darnold. When you gave Sam a little protection and a run game, and he can throw when nobody's quite sure he's throwing, he's very effective. When you force Darnold or Geno Smith to throw on 3rd and 11, or they have to throw it a beat fast, that's when you get the mistakes. I thought Jeanty, and I also wonder this, if you look at Pete Carroll's history, he's old school.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch, Reggie Bush, Lendale White, his great teams have had stars in the backfield, which sets the table for his offense. Pete hates mistakes by quarterbacks, and Geno doesn't make a ton when he's throwing on play action. So I think Jeanty, I love that pick for the Raiders.
I have been probably one of the counterculture movements here with this Ashton Jeanty like hype. I mean, people have been comparing him to Barry Sanders or, LaDainian Tomlinson. I think anytime that you compare a player to the greatest of all time, it's like when you're comparing Cam Ward to Patrick Mahomes, we got to tell you to pump the brakes.
Yeah.
But listen, Kenneth Walker, who was picked later when he was healthy for Seattle with Charbonnet, their run game was good. Like you said, Geno was really, really good.
Yep.
My issue here is like I have experience in the Mountain West. I know the difference in the competition relative to the Big Ten and obviously the SEC. It is dramatic. Now, in an individual, like in a vacuum, he is a special talent, and he had the opportunity to surely go to Texas or Ohio State. He turned down money, so it wasn't like people didn't want him. But like playing against Washington State, New Mexico, Fresno State, and San Diego State is going to be a little different animal than the Chargers, Denver, and Kansas City, which you could argue is the best defensive division in the sport. We know Minter how good the Chargers are, so it's just going to be difficult for them. We saw this year. I don't. The Raiders' offensive line's okay, but it's going to be tough. I get it. I honestly thought they would go with a lineman there, especially a defensive lineman. Remember Pete Carroll over the years it hasn't always worked out. Bruce Irvin, I thought he would be aggressive there, but they swung for the fences. It gives them some star power. There's no disputing it makes them more interesting to watch because they were an unwatchable product the last couple of years. So Ashton Jeanty, Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, I'll pay attention. I still, I mean, I'm not picking them to win that many games based on what we have on the roster right now.